Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Workforce Ready with NStar. My name is Nnamdi Ihenacho. Thank you so much for being here and being back with us. I hope you've been getting, and I know, let me not say I hope, I know you've been getting value from all of our previous pieces of content. And if that is the truth, and I know it is, and I urge you to go ahead and subscribe and then share this with somebody else within your circle that could benefit from the value and all of things we share today. I'm excited to dive into our conversation today. I'll be talking about just things that there's certain things that you need to get promoted and that you might not be thinking about for somebody who's looking to advance in their career. Listen, a lot of professionals, that I know, especially ones from the background that I come from, have this beginning. They think getting promoted is about being good enough at your job, being good enough, long enough, delivering results consistently, and then hoping that eventually the right people will notice and, the advancement will follow, the promotions will come. And that is true sometimes. A lot of the time, your work will speak for itself and you will get what you deserve. But that is not always the case. The people who advance the fastest are almost never the ones who work the hardest. That is the truth. They're the ones who build three things that they built, very intentionally alongside their performance. And performance is a prerequisite. You have to be good and solid at what you do. And I'm going to walk you through those three things in today's session. Again, if you have not subscribed, go ahead and do so. My name is Nnamdi, and I'm the founder here at the NStar Technologies, and I will be taking you on this journey. I want to start by talking about visibility, right? I want to get into what it's about. Visibility just means being seen, right? Being seen in the right places by the right people. Not everyone, specific people who influence decision making in your target domain, right? So it is not about being visible, but being visible to the people that make sense, people that make decisions, right? People who have the opportunity to actually be in rooms where your fate is being decided. They need to see you. So your colleagues saying you are great, your peers saying that you are great at what you do and you are excellent. That is good. That is for validation. If validation is what you seek, then great. However, if you are looking for real advancement, then it's not just your peers you want to impress. You also want to ensure that the right people with the right authority are paying attention to you and know that you exist. So visibility is super important, right? So what does it look like when visibility is weak? Okay, it means your immediate manager knows you are excellent, but nobody above them or outside your team knows your name. And so when a senior role opens and names are being discussed, you are not even in that conversation because you are not in those people's awareness. So yes, your manager might, your immediate manager might not rank high enough in that. So I even started with your colleagues. So yes, except your colleagues are also decision makers, then yes, okay, maybe that counts. But in the grand scheme of the conversation, they might not be. And so if you're looking to beyond your manager, it's not just your manager, it's also people that again are higher and in decision making positions, right? I was having a conversation recently with someone and they were talking about how they were dealing with or having this conversation with somebody who was uh, um not really doing their job well, and they're trying to call them out, but on this is the quality of work and where they need to improve, just trying to let them know, hey, you need to step up your game and all of that, like the things, the things that are on your plate are falling through the cracks. And the person kept on referencing the person correcting them, their superiors, their director's name. When I spoke to this person, this is what they said. So I was, so person B is the one who is the being corrected. Person A is the corrector. Person B kept on saying, hey, when I spoke to this person, this is their expectation. When I spoke to this higher up. And so it almost felt like, hey, say what you want. The people above you know my name and my expectations have been set by them. So it's important that yes, it's we have to do we want to do the work, we want people to know, but let the people who know you and know that and can attest to your work be actually people who actually are also in decision making rooms. If you combine being excellent at your job with proficiency, with knowing the right people, it's going to fast track your path to promotion, to advancement. Now let's talk about strong visibility, what that looks like. It looks like 3 to 5 senior professionals in your target domain inside and outside the organization, you know, knowing you, right? And they associate your name with a specific expertise. Okay, what that does is when relevant conversations happen, your name comes up naturally. All right, they just know this is who this person is. They are good at this, and so whenever that thing is being discussed, you're top of mind. Okay, it's super important, and these are things you have to cultivate, intentionally. It's doing excellent work is good, but again, if you are not in a certain, there are some work settings that allow for collaborative work, and open door policies and all of that. Not every organization is like that. If you work for a big corporation, a big company, it's easy to get lost in the crowd, and all people in those positions are looking at is outcomes, and even when they want to do reward, it's a collective thought process. Like, okay, let's reward high performers. They might do incentives for high performance, but to get them to perform even at that rate and continue, they are not looking at you specifically. And so, yes, you might even get some bonuses and rewards for being a high performer because you closed a certain amount of tickets, because you knocked out a certain amount of tasks, you showed up for a certain amount of meetings. However, they don't know who you are, right? It's your name doesn't really reflect that performance to them. And so again, it is on you to now ensure that you are doing something about that and making sure that the right people, who make these decisions know about you and can speak to your work. So, what actions can you take, right? One action you can take is identify one community, an event platform where your target domain, where your target domain exists and decision makers come, right? Where they spend their attention, not to join it just yet, just identify it, right? Research what it is, who is in it, know where your guys are, where the people who hold your fate in their hands go to, where they gather. It's super important that we do this. Okay, that's the first step. That is the first step. Now, do some research, right? Do some internal research on internal promotions, how who has gotten promoted recently, uh, um the candidate that got promoted, who are in the decision making team, where are those decisions being made, and then try to figure out, again, visibility is not vanity. It's a career variable with direct compensation consequences. The reason why this is an important compensation for us, especially if you are first gen, that means you were raised by African immigrants, right? You were raised by an immigrant family. If you are immigrants, you get this, right? Again, we come from a culture where you want to, if you want to you don't want the visibility. You want to we're taught to kind of shrink in a sense. It's part of virtue, right? Shrinking is virtue, and now we live in a culture where playing small gets you get lost. And so we work. You also want to be known that you work. It's not about being braggadocious or being too forward about it. You can push yourself, you can advocate for yourself without having to be braggadocious, or without being arrogant, without being disrespectful, without talking anybody down. You can be your own advocate. You should be your own biggest advocate because you know the work you put in. Be in front of your work and let people that make decisions know you are the one behind this output that they are seeing. It's very, very important, right? So when we talk about weak versus strong in terms of visibility, it's very important to keep that in mind, right? I want to talk about specificity, right? Being associated with a defined domain or capability rather than being known as generally capable. Like, this is another one. The market to reward specialists. Okay, so my field is database engineering. I have been as a tech professionals. As a tech professional, as a tech professional, my whole lane has been database administration, database engineering. You don't know how many random messages I get from people like, "Hey, there's some database, da, 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 da. I want them to talk to you," right? It's people have come to know me for, oh, you teach database administration, you are a database engineer, you do data, like it is data. And so when it comes to career conversations, more than likely the people in my circle are people who are in my immediate of influence I am probably top of mind for a lot of them if a database engineer opportunity comes open where they are, right? And it has, within myself, even within past colleagues, I've gotten jobs that I barely had to interview for because somebody thought about me like, hey, there's this cat I worked with, and he was really good. One of my best gigs, the first and only, not the only time, but that the one time I was asked to name my price for a job was a job I did not. Somebody just said, "Hey," somebody came and talked about me and mentioned my name in a room because I had worked, I supported that his organization at the previous place of employment, where he was a consultant. Now he ran his own agency. He was a big shot, and he was basically working directly with the CTO of this insurance company. And at some point, they needed somebody on ground to be their, be the watch, be their person basically that was skilled. The insurance company said, well, we'd rather hire somebody who is going to own our environment. And this guy goes, well, I know someone. And randomly, I get a message on LinkedIn and saying, hey, I'm thinking about you for this. I'm recommending you. They'll reach out. Are you available? That I'm like, sure, let's talk to them. And next thing it's what a director is calling me, and next I'm on I have an interview scheduled. I go and have a few conversations. Never really had to answer any deep technical questions. I had one conversation with I spoke to multiple leaders going in there, and then I went to the CTO and they're like, hey, what do you want to pay, what do you want us to pay you? Very strange question, because now you're thinking, okay, I made an ask and they give me a sign-on bonus and added to what I asked for. But that's the power of these people didn't know me, so they were not doing it because of me. They were doing it because of what they had heard about me, right? They wanted to make sure that they made it impossible for me to say no, right? And it worked, and I did work there for a season. So that specificity in what are you known for is super important. Don't be a generalist, the market reward. So, like, who are you? The IT guy. I was the IT guy one time for a long time. When I worked, during my days as an intern with, when I worked at the community health center, when I was in my master's program. And so I was everything to everyone. I was the printer. Namdi was the one you called, and all of that. When the phone system was down, called the IT guy. The the market doesn't pay those people like that well. Okay, so the generalist doesn't get be known for a specific thing. Especially let your brand, let your presence mean something. Okay, be known for something. Weak specificity is a problem, right? When somebody asks, about you, what are you expecting? The answer takes more than one sentence and still sounds broad. That is that's a problem, right? So something like I work in operations and project management, and I also have done some data work. That's not the lane, right? That's not the lane. That's a list. And now we're looking for somebody who does this. What are you trying to? Where do you belong? And so at some point you have to start leaning into your area of strength, your area of expertise. Eventually, let's say for me, I'm if I want to start getting away from the engineering piece, now I'm going to, let's say I want to get into leadership, or when I want to lean more into entrepreneurship. My language, my content will shift in the direction I want to go. Now the networking I do will also change, right? And so it's super important to keep that in mind. Another example of strong specificities. I am I'm the professional who leads the operational redesign of the clinical service delivery in complex health systems. Right, very straight to the point. I am the professional. I am the who designs this, or you say things like, I am the professional who manages the delivery of enterprise technology transformation programs in regulated industry. Very specific. It's specific enough that a decision maker immediately knows which kind of role this person is the right candidate for. I don't have to figure out what are you good for, what are you not good for, and all of that. So, an action I want you to take is complete this sentence in one clear statement. I am the professional who blank. It has to be going one If it takes more than one sentence, or if if what you produce, what you come up with can describe 50 other people, then that's a specificity gap. There is a gap there that you need to work on. It needs to be very, it needs to get narrow, and even narrow. So um what are some credibility signals, right? We're talking about visibility, and then visibility needs to go side by side with credibility. And so let's talk through some of them. So weak versus strong. um Credibility signals are the tangible and external markers that give decision makers something concrete to point to when they advocate for you, right? And the key word here is external. Something someone who has never seen your work directly can verify independently, right? Again, it's I can go and check, and this is what you talk about. This is who you are. This is what you do, right? That's your credibility signal. That is the other. When we talk about things that will get you promoted, when people are talking about you, it's your expertise should be verifiable. Okay, so weak credibility signals, it looks like a strong internal reputation. You have good relationships with your direct manager. You have a track record that lives in performance review documents, but nothing that an external person can see. So internally they know you are great, but externally nobody knows who you are, right? That's weak credibility signal. Now, strong credibility signals is a completed credential from a recognized institution. So you get certified, you post it on LinkedIn, right? A portfolio project with documented, quantifiable results, a published piece of thinking, a LinkedIn article, a presentation at a professional event, something that demonstrates domain knowledge, a case study that a decision maker can point to and say, here is the evidence, right? It's like, okay, I have to make a decision. How do I validate this? This person, you've said they are great at this. Well, what have they built? I need to be able to find it. I'm not, your manager might not even, it's not going to be in the conversation to show your performance reports or appraisals. And so it's on you to make sure, again, on LinkedIn you are showcasing your credentials. If you are excellent at something, go get some credentials to showcase. A lot of the times I'm not a big certification guy, especially when you are trying to make career transition. Certification is not necessarily the priority, in my opinion, but when you are looking to advance, it's important, especially when you're trying to elevate to something higher, and you need to show credibility. That's where those paperwork start becoming something. Okay, this guy has this track record, but they also have this credential that is very rare. They've also spoken at this conference. They've also been on this, they've been at this conference, they've attended this event, they were a speaker here. Those are, oh, they wrote this article. Somebody can go verify that. Somebody who wants to make a decision on whether to hire you or not can go and verify, like, hey, this is what they've done and how much they've done. So one action item for you is list every credibility signal you currently have that is externally visible in your target domain. How many items are on that list, right? How many articles, different things. It's all of like articles on LinkedIn, credentials. How many items on that list? How recent are they? This is very important. Uh, um, that list becomes your credibility audit. That's your credibility signal audit. Do that, and then that gives you what to start working on, where you need to start uh, um, building what you need to start building. So as I kind of wrap all of this and tie all of this together, there are, three levers, right? When it comes to trying to get to that next level in your career. Visibility, that talks about being seen by the right people, right? Being seen by the right people is the first one. Not just being seen, but being seen by people who can actually do something with the knowledge of your existence. The next thing is specificity, being associated with a clear domain. All right. So they know me for something. And then credibility signals. That means having external proof of expertise. All right. So they know me or they see me, they know me for something, and what they know me for can be verified, right? So it's not somebody just saying this guy is great. We can verify your greatness. Again, and it comes from what people can see about you. Like 2026 is not the year of being in hiding. If you have to get out and post more, you have to put out stuff more. People will make a decision on you based on these things. It's just the world we live in today. And so make sure that you are being intentional in curating this thing. Thank God for AI platforms and tools today that we can leverage to start building up some of these things. Do some research. Okay, what are credibility signals that I need to start investing in? What are certifications, articles? Start a blog. On write a weekly article on LinkedIn. Do something to boost that and share your thoughts. Like I will do this thing where I will go and give my own spin to a concept that's maybe I've dealt with something at work and I solved the problem and I have a thought. I will go just talk through that thought with Copilot or with chat and build an article using that. So the thought is original because it's my thought. But AI helps me to make it into something that is worth reading, and I put it out. That is how you do these things, right? It's like me coming out here and talking to you guys. Somebody might need to make a decision on somebody who helps people advance in their careers. I need to bring somebody like that in. They will check and they will see me pop up on YouTube. And so that's part of the things we need to be working on. So having external proof of your expertise is super important. Most professionals are weak in one of these areas. Some people are weak in two, but the professionals who advance consistently are the ones who build all three deliberately alongside their performance. So again, it starts with do a good job, right? You should actually be good at what you do. Then make sure you are visible. Then make sure that you are known for one thing, and then what you are known for is verifiable. So my question to you right now, as I start wrapping up, is which one is your primary gap? Which of these three areas is your primary gap? Not all three. Which one is the most underdeveloped one in your specific situation, especially as regards to your target domain of expertise where you're trying to get into? Uh, um, that is exactly the question that we are going to be walking through on March 23rd. We're going to be we have our corporate advancement hour. We will be getting in depth into this. We'll be getting, we'll workshopping some of these things. So if you are watching this online, if you're watching whenever you're watching this, hopefully it's before March 23rd. We have our monthly corporate advancement hour. This will be our gist for that day. We'll get in depth to workshop those things. We'll make sure that you leave with clarity on how to navigate this and a playbook. All right. So make sure you register for that. The registration is now open. I want to invite you again. Go on our website, go on our LinkedIn, send us a message, go register for the corporate advancement hour. It's going to be great. And I look forward to seeing you in that. So next week, we'll get into what a real six-figure career transition looks like week by week, right? We'll break it down. We'll look at case studies, and it's going to be exciting. So make sure you are back next week, 3 p.m. every Saturday. We go live. Looking forward to hosting you again. I'm excited about everything. So thank you for watching. Again, make sure you subscribe. Share this video with somebody who needs to see this and gain value from it. And make sure you are also taking action. Great information doesn't lead to transformation. It is the action you take that leads to transformation. So go do something with what you've learned. I'll see you at the top. Let's keep winning.